Well, hi there, this is DBT, and alright, it's time for another Karantuk micro showcase, or should I say macro showcase. And today we're gonna be looking at the Super Shotgun again. Now, first of all, I want to say that I'm rather surprised by the amount of people that got gotten by the last video. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, last week on April the 1st, I uploaded a showcase for the Super Shotgun, and in fact, it's the second year in a row that I upload a shotgun quote-unquote showcase on April Fools, aka April 1st. So I fully expected people to come fully skeptic to the video, and to be fair, some people did. But there were still a bunch of people that did not know that I was joking in some things. In fact, when I announced the video on Discord, in our Discord server, by the way, if you're not in our server, you can join, the link is in the description. I did mention that people were already kind of guessing what I was going to be doing, or what were the plans for a video on April 1st. People were saying, probably DBT is going to come up with another joke, and then they were like, nah, the joke is going to be that he's actually going to show something that is going to come in the game, you know, all sorts of guesses. And honestly, yeah, they were guessing right. I did want to show something that was actually true in that video. But since people were already guessing it, and they were pretty good at guessing it, I decided to play a little bit with those expectations, and I made a video where I showed some things that were true and some things that weren't true about the Super Shotgun. So which parts are true and which aren't, that's what we're gonna dispel right now. I still imagine some people are gonna be disappointed by some of the decisions, but you know, it is what it is. So, Super Shotgun, what was the misdirection? Well, it's an easy one. It was the animation. This is what it actually looks like. You can see that the animation is way more smooth than what I showed originally. In fact, it has more than twice the frames that I showed in that video. I tried to allude in the video to the fact that the animation was choppy just without saying it, to try to get people to be like, hey, but the animation, you mentioned that it's good, but it could be better. Yeah. That was the point. So, for that video, I purposely cut like over half of the sprites that are actually in this animation that you can see right now. I did mention that I did not show, or the animation wasn't showing the hand of the Doomslayer reloading the gun. And there was some truth to the fact that it's one of the parts that gave Franco the most issues, for what he tells me. Because he has commented that doing the sprites for the Doomslayer hands, it's actually pretty tough because of the amount of detail that it has in the shading and keeping the colors and all of that. So that's why I was toying a little bit with that idea. But yeah, now you actually get to see it in its full glory, its full animation. And by the way, sorry if you hear me clearing my throat a bunch. It's just that apparently I'm getting sick or something. Hopefully DBT won't die before this gets released. So yeah, there you have it. Now, today we're actually gonna be looking at the upgrades for the gun. You have already seen the alt fire, but we're gonna be seeing the upgrades for the primary and secondary fire. And the very first upgrade to the gun is gonna be related to the primary fire, and that is the fast hands upgrade. And what it does is, well, basically what you would expect. It fires faster. In fact, I made sure to replicate as close as I could the timing for both the regular fire and the fast fire of the primary function of the gun, meaning that it should feel very similar in regards to how fast or slow it reloads compared to Doom Eternal. I always try to do those type of things in my mods, try to keep the timings, unless I find them to be, you know, that something is changing. But I did like the timings on the reload for the Super Shotgun, so I kept it. But yeah, once you get the first upgrade, you can see how fast you can refire this thing. It's just nuts. The DPS is insane. So yeah, that's the very first upgrade for the Super Shotgun. Now, we're gonna be having a look at the alt fire, the fired lightning thingy, but for that I need to do some developer magic over here, so BRB. Now, as far as the alt fire, I love that somebody said that it looked like fire piss, and you know, that kind of made me think of Postal, and if you know anything about me, I love the Postal games, so the fact that it ended up being an unintentional reference to one of my favorite games, yeah, that's a winner right there. But yeah, in the previous video, I showed you the main functionality of the thing, but now we can also look at the upgrades, because I saw some people giving some interesting suggestions and all of that, and it's like, well, we can already have some of that. I just didn't want to really go too deep into it in a video that was half a joke. But first, again, I understand that people are gonna be a bit disappointed, if not worried, about, you know, the changes that I made, and I've talked to no end about how I keep on changing things in the mod just based on sometimes technical limitations of the engine, sometimes just in decisions that I want something to behave different, kind of like the weak points where we could have done them, but I just didn't want to make them because I don't like how they play. So as far as the fire piss, which I think it's becoming really its official name by now, yeah, let's see how it performs once it's upgraded. But first, there was a tiny change that I made from what I showed in the previous video, so I just want to show you that little update. Actually, I'm gonna follow it now. And that is this. Yes, people, there is a meat hook in the game. No, there's no fire piece. Yes, I was joking, and I'm surprised that some people actually believe the whole thing of the fire piece and all. To be fair, it was my intention to make the video as believable as possible, you know, showing you some of the details with the sprites and things like that, and about the sounds and how it works and the reload times and all of that. I really wanted to make it, you know, as mindfucky as possible. Because like I said, people were already kind of guessing what I wanted to do on April Fools. So I wanted to play with everybody's expectations and really confuse people. And honestly, mind-fucking people like that, it's so much fun, so much fun. But alright, we're looking at the real thing finally after all this time. And I wanted to make this video shortly after the April Fool's video, you know, because it's long overdue, but also because I don't want people to think that, oh, DBT saw that people got angry about the fire pace and he decided to change it. He folded under the pressure, so we can make him change his decision. No, this was already decided from a long time ago. This hook has been on the work for a long time. We have been spending a bunch of time perfecting what we can perfect of it. So yeah, I just wanted to release it soon after, because you know, I really don't want to hear when people go like, oh my god, DBT listened to me and he actually ended up redoing he removed the fire piece and added a meat hook in a weak stamp just because I suggested it. No, this was already there. So anyway, as far as how it works, alright. There were a couple of things that I wanted to make sure to port from Doom Eternal as to how it works. And some things weren't changed. The very first thing that got changed is the fact that this is not a projectile, it's a hit scan basically. Meaning that for you to hook into an enemy, it's an instantaneous situation. It doesn't have to be that the projectile travels the world and then maybe hits or maybe it doesn't hit. No, it's instant. So long as the enemy is somewhere around your crosshair, you're gonna be able to hook into the monster. So you will see, for example, if I'm aiming at the monster, yeah, I can hook into him. But also if I'm looking around the enemy but just close enough, I should be able to also hook into it. Because, you know, when you're jumping and dashing and all of that, trying to hook into an enemy and have perfect aim for it, it's basically impossible. So that's why it needed to have a little bit of tolerance as to where it detects that there's an enemy. And trying to do it with a projectile, you know, there's a bunch of situations where projectiles don't behave particularly well in multiplayer. And despite the fact that the mod is not aimed at the moment to be multiplayer compatible, there were a bunch of things that were taken into consideration for the future of the mod if eventually multiplayer does come into the game. So that's why we went with the route of hit scan, and again, it just feels so much more comfortable, it feels so much more responsive. Another thing to mention quite quickly is the fact you can see that little graphic to the left of the crosshair. That's the indicator, temporary indicator of the reload for the meat hook. Obviously, in the future, it will change to something that goes more with the reticles that we will eventually be implementing. But for the time being, I just wanted a little graphic to show you what is the reload time for this thing. Now, something else that is worth mentioning over here is that obviously it does have a limited range. The range, it's easily adjustable, so whether it's right now you need to be too close or maybe it reaches from way too far and all that, that will change. That's not a problem. That's one of those things that is very easy to change. And like I said, with the damage, it's just work in progress. But for the time being, this is tentatively a good distance. It feels pretty good. Now, it does what you expect, right? It even works upward. You see the monster over there? Well, I can hook into the monster that is up there, so long as you're aiming somewhere close to it. And like I said, the fact that it's a head scan and you don't need to be super accurate with the aiming makes it so much more enjoyable. It's super smooth when you're just running around and, oh, I want to hook into him. And yeah, there you go. It's done. So yeah, that's the first thing that I try to ignore that little message over there. It's a bit of a remnant. In fact, I don't think anybody ever saw that message in D4T. But anyway, so yeah, another thing that I wanted to bring from Doom Eternal was the behavior that when you're hooking into an enemy, if you press fire, that will cancel the hook. Obviously, you keep some of the momentum. I'm gonna do this, fire somewhere else, and you can see I kept a bunch of momentum because I was being pulled pretty fast towards the enemy. But yeah, trust me, at the moment you press fire, whether you can fire or not, even if the gun is reloading, the moment you press fire, it's gonna cancel the hook. So you gotta be, thinking about that if you're trying to spam the button. And this is exactly how it works in Doom Eternal. Even if the gun doesn't fire, but you press fire, for example, you're out of ammo, you press fire, it's still gonna cancel it. But again, it keeps the momentum. So that's one of those things. Another thing that this does, it follows that same thing that Doom Eternal does, where if you're jumping as you're hooking into the enemy, you'll actually end up jumping over the enemy. You can see over there, I ended up jumping really, really high. Now, the farther you are from the enemy, the lower the jump is. Basically, if you're really close to the enemy, the jump is higher, while if you're farther, it jumps a little lower. I know it's a bit difficult to explain, but how about we actually look at the second upgrade for the gun, meaning the first upgrade for the hook, and that is gonna be Quick Hook, because that's gonna make it so much easier to show you some of these things. It does what you expect. Basically, it reloads the mid hook way faster, and again, I kept the same timings that Doom Eternal has. The same timing for the mid hook to reload when it's not upgraded and when it is upgraded. So there you go. It reduces by something like a third of a second. I don't quite remember the numbers, but it goes something like that. Something else that is curious about this is the fact that it resets your double jump. So what I'm gonna do over here is show you how I'm gonna jump, then double jump, hook into an enemy, jump over the enemy, and I'm still gonna have the double jump. So jump, double jump, hook, jump, and double jump again. Now that's a lot of airtime, but that's actually how it works in Doom Eternal, where basically the moment you hook into a monster, it resets your double jump. And that of course allows you to keep your air momentum for way longer and all of that stuff. Now this ties to the whole thing of people breaking the map. And I haven't changed my mind. I said before that the mid hook would make it so that people would be breaking the map too much and all of that. It's not that I changed my mind, it's that I was lying all along. Basically, I for a long time I tried to convince people that the hook was not gonna happen, and even then, I don't think I ever said that the hook was not a thing. I just hinted towards the fact that people could be disappointed and to not expect the exact same thing. I don't believe I did. Maybe I did, but I really don't think I ever did. But anyway, so yeah, I really don't give a crap if people want to break the map. People can already jump, they can double jump, they can dash, they can do so many things already to break the maps. So what is having one more layer to do so? It really doesn't mean much to me. And if people in single player want to break the map and be going around and skipping the entire map and finishing in 13 seconds just because they were having too much fun with the thing, that's fine by me. It's up to them how much they want to break the map. Multiplayer, it's a different thing. If we ever develop proper multiplayer for this thing, I may look into a way to limit this so that people cannot be breaking maps left and right when people want to actually, finish it proper. Because, there's always gonna be that speedrunner guy who, oh my god, LOL, I can finish the map in 12 seconds flat, so I'm gonna ruin it for everybody. So yeah, that's why I might keep it in mind, but then again, I don't even know if it will ever have the chance to make this fully multiplayer compatible. So that's a worry for another time. But yeah, so something else that behaves similar to Doom Eternal is the fact that you can also shoot the hook at any stage of the reload, or at any stage that the super shotgun is at. So even if you're firing this, you can still use the hook in the middle of the reload sequence. Even if your gun is with that ammunition, you can still use the hook for it. So basically, it's a completely separate system that still reflects in the gun. If you notice, the moment I use the hook, the little golden tip doesn't show in the gun anymore. And once the hook sort of returns to the gun, you can see the golden tip in the gun sprite again. And this actually also reflects on when you're firing. For example, if I have this and I fire, you can see the firing animation doesn't have the golden tip. So they're separate system, but yet I still wanted to reflect this little thing on the gun sprites. Even as the gun is reloading, it may or may not show the golden tip based on the status of the hook, if it's back to you or if it's in theory attached to a monster. So yeah, that's something a little fun. But I know what you're wondering the most. DBT, do you have yeet hook? I mean, it's one of those things that, you know how much work it would be to try to even get close to something similar than Doom Eternal? It's just nonsense. And honestly, trying to copy it, people won't be happy if it's not one-to-one. And yet, we still brought it. Yes, you can yeet hook yourself to no end. Yes, you're gonna break the maps. Yes, you're gonna do all sorts of crazy shit. But you know, it's so much fun to do. And it's one of those things that it had to be here. I wanted to have it there because even as much as I have some issues with some designs in Doom Eternal and whatever, I really like the yeet hooking. And you know, if there's eventually indeed an anchor point, you know, mappers will be able to create situation like, oh, the player will need to know how to yeet hook himself in order to get to this other point, you know, to create challenge type of maps and all of that. Obviously, this is based on if people are going to create custom maps, but you can see already this map with all the verticality, suddenly being able to be like, oh, I'm going to get to that dude, but I'm also going to yeet myself over here. It's very doable. Now, as for how the yeets work, it's somewhat similar to how they work in Doom Eternal, but like I said, I wasn't kidding. It's basically impossible to copy it exactly like it works in Doom Eternal. So we just did an approximation. As you are hooking into an enemy, if you're pressing one of the side buttons, it's gonna start basically spiraling you towards the enemy, if you know what I mean. It's gonna move you to the side, but the closer that you get to the enemy, the faster you get moving towards the enemy in a spiral fashion. It's really hard to explain like this, but trust me, it feels sort of natural. So basically, you cannot yeet yourself too far if you're really close to the enemy. However, if you have max distance towards the enemy, yeah, you can use all of that momentum in order to fling yourself. That's basically what it is. So over here, you'll see... Oh, I missed. Hold on. I'm gonna keep some distance, then I yeet myself. But since I didn't quite press the jump in time, it spiraled me towards the enemy and the yeet hook failed. So it's a combination of keeping the right amount of distance towards the enemy and timing the jump. Kind of like this. And that pillar stopped me. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It definitely takes some time to master it. And yeah, this doesn't translate exactly like it does in Doom Eternal, but it should feel familiar enough where people can have a lot of fun with. Honestly, I do have a lot of fun. Look at that. You can definitely yeet yourself pretty fun. How many times have I said yeet in this video? I have no idea. But yeah, so that's the basics on the hook. Like I said, this has been on the work for a long time. And we try to bring the things that I consider the most fun about the hook. And, you know, following some of the rules, we really spent a lot of time on analyzing how it works in Doom Eternal. And probably somebody that has been playing Doom Eternal, somebody that is a master at Doom Eternal will be like, no, this actually doesn't quite work like it does and all of that. But honestly, that would be just at that point nitpicking. And like I said, unless we had access to the source code of Doom Eternal to really understand how all the little nuances for the yeet hooking, it's just gonna be impossible to replicate it exactly. So this is the closest we can get, but man, I tell you, it's a lot of fun. So alright, now how about we look at the last upgrade for the gun? And you know what it is? It's what people wanted. The flaming hook. Yeah, we have it here. Now there's a couple of things to mention about this thing. First, obviously it works as you expect. The moment you hook into a monster, the monster is set on fire, and if you shoot the monster, they would drop some armor. However, there's a couple of rules to this. And I don't know, people that have played Doom Eternal already know these rules, but I thought it was worth mentioning over here. The very first rule is you don't talk about them. No. It's that if you hook into an enemy, you know, flaming... Oh, Jesus. Did you see that hero jump of that dude? Jesus Christ. If you hook into an enemy and you shoot it, you're gonna get a total of 10 points of armor from it if the monster didn't die. However, if the monster actually dies as you're hooking and you shot him like that, then instead of 10 armor, it's gonna be 30. Now, here we go. So, there we go. Well, actually, I think he got killed with something else. Maybe one of these dudes killed him. So, you'll see. I'll hook into this dude, kill him. I have 26 armor right now. And there you go. 30 armor gained from that. So yeah, if the monster survives the shot, 10 armor. If the monster dies, 30 armor. And that's just how it works in Doom Eternal. At least it's how it used to work. I don't know. They keep on changing things so often that I don't know if I'm still up to date. But this feels pretty good. So it's a way to get some relatively free armor. You can see when you run out of ammo, the gun doesn't close. So I'm just gonna cheat and get more ammunition here. You kill it, 30 armor. You don't kill it, 10 armor. That's it. There's one last thing to mention about it. The flame belch and the meat hook do not stack. If the monster is on flames, in fire because of the flame belch, if you hook into it, the flame from the meat hook wick will override the other one. So basically, if the monster survived, you didn't shoot it, it will stop being on fire because your flaming hook basically gets what's the word? It goes down or it goes, what's the word? Fire gets put down. It gets put down really quickly. You can see it instantly disappear. You have enough time to hit it with the shotgun, but if you try to burn an enemy and then switch to another gun and hit it like that, you're not gonna get the armor. It's specific to doing it with the super shotgun. So that's something that you should keep in mind when doing this. So there you have it. Super shotgun in all of its glory. Finally, after such a long wait, I'm really glad that I'm finally able to show it to you guys. I know it's been long overdue, but the reality is that I only wanted to show this gun once I felt it was actually ready. I didn't want to show something half-assed, in particular for this gun that is so important. It's probably and most likely the absolute favorite gun in the entire game, so it only made sense for me to try to bring it as close as I could, while still following my philosophy of changing things where I see it needed. And again, the fact that you guys were so open with the fire piece joke and all of that, it shows to me that you're very open-minded, and I appreciate the trust that you have on me making decisions for this mod that hopefully are gonna improve the gameplay. It's just that, fire pace wasn't one of them. So yeah, before you go, as usual, I'm gonna show my secondary channel, DBT's Vrooms. I'm gonna put a clip right here so you can see what it is about. If you like racing games, if you like cars and all of that, why don't you check my channel? Pretty much videos daily. So there's a lot to watch over there if you want to hear me ramble about all things racing games and whatnot. But yeah, as far as the showcase, that's the showcase. I can speak. That's it. Again, thank you all. And I guess I'll see you in the next one, whenever that is, or whatever that is. Until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. Bye-bye.